Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. Gun and Gear Review Podcast, I should say. This is episode 124. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to provide products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Today I have with me Tony, I got TJ, and I got Steven. How's it going, guys?
What's up, everybody?
Guys.
How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good. So we're going to be talking about some just, plethora, miscellaneous stuff like we usually do. No more trying to be overtly tactical with our choices of products for the show, thank goodness. So let's start off with what we all did in guns this last week. So let's start with Steve. What'd you do, man?
Well, this week I had my annual firearms qualification for my agency, which was good times. Did pretty well. Did a couple of handguns and shotgun. And then, since I'm the firearms instructor for my agency, we ran a couple of my guys through it as well. It's good times. Nice few hours on the range, getting everybody shooting and having a good time.
Cool. How about yourself, TJ?
Yep. Honestly, it's been a little while since I've been on the show. I don't remember. I can't remember. I didn't do too much, so just kind of whatever, carrying and the general. Dry firing a lot more lately.
Yeah. How about you, Tony? Did you pull some triggers?
Just a little bit. I went down back home to Virginia and trained my mom up on using the 12 gauge for home defense. So I had to show her how to run a shotgun, blowing away water bottles. So that's actually the training I did, and I also took a NRA range safety officer course. So I got that certification. Just adding them to, you need to expand your knowledge, expand that knowledge base. So I got my NRA range safety officer thing just because it makes sense. That's what I did. Oh, yeah. Awesome. And I told you I handled the ATI Polymer 1911. I handled that, just dry firing it. It's pretty decent. Fans really stink, just like we said last week. But other than that, it's a decent, solid feeling pistol.
So what's the best thing about it and the worst thing about it?
I found the best thing about it being the trigger. The trigger was really great. You didn't even have to adjust it out of the box. Worst thing about it was the finger grooves. They were really in the way. Okay. That's what I liked.
Boo, finger grooves.
So what I did, I almost took a class. Almost, not quite. My dad was taking some class and he didn't have a lot of information on it. He was just kind of brought to it by one of his good buddies. So he wanted me to go down there too because he wanted to introduce me to some of those guys. And I was like, well, what kind of class is it? And he was like, oh, it's a permit class. It's for 36 states, and that's the only information he had. I knew it had to have been the Utah permit. I already got one. And I'm not going to pay to sit through some long-winded class because I already have the permit. Because as some of you might know, depending on who's teaching that class, you might get a lot of good information, and you might just have a good old boys long-winded hangout session, and then get qualified for a permit at the end of it. So he didn't let me know it was actually a 5-hour-long class that costed $80 till I was about halfway there. So I turned around, came back home, and then he didn't get out till like 8 or 9 hours. So I guess it was one of those. So luckily dodged a bullet there, but it's good that my old man's getting to know more. I can only inundate him with so much information. He needs to kind of hear it for himself from other people. So he's got his Washington State CPL, and so now he's gonna be getting his Utah concealed pistol license, and then we still have to find like a gun for him. He thinks he's just gonna carry his the 5-inch 1911 that I got him. and I mean he's kind of a big guy. He's kind of built like a gorilla, so he could do it. I could get him the right holster. I'll probably get him like a maybe like an 8-in gear, so it's really comfortable for him. But I want to get him like the Shield, like in the 40, because he's been seeing those commercials, and I've been telling him how great they are, and he thinks that, we've already got a 1911, so I'll just carry that. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll try it, and then you tell me how you feel about it, and about, carry for about a month. Let me know.
Let me know in
I
10
had
minutes.
I had a Shield N40. That thing was not fun at all.
Well, I would say shoot like a man, because they're all sorts of fun.
Wow.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Shots fired indeed.
You didn't like the snappiness of the 40?
Well, I was a big 40 person for years upon years upon years, and carried a Beretta 8040 as my duty gun for a long time, and a Glock 23 as well. But I bought the Shield for commonality of caliber and having something nice and tiny I could carry. But man, I took it to the range, and I was just so much slower with it than any of my other 40 cal guns that I couldn't justify keeping it around. So I wound up selling it and bought, after I'd switched over to 9mm, bought a FNS 9 compact.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, not joshing it too hard, but that's actually a pretty good reason for not liking it and swapping out. You want to be competent with it, obviously.
Oh yeah.
You probably outshoot me any day of the week, so. The only other thing is I've been just working on patches and everyone's graphic design stuff they need before the NRA show coming up. So business cards for the FRN members, ads for some companies out there, that kind of thing. So keeping pretty busy. Also bumping out patches. I don't know if you could tell, but I've got a kind of a patch wall started behind me. So I just got a Velcro panel, and I'm starting to add all of the patches for Patriot Patch go on there. I'm already well over 50% filled up, so I should have bought a bigger panel. We just got some new ones back from the factory. I'm actually wearing one right now, the 1911 patch. Give you guys a zoom in there.
Very nice.
Yeah, this one we were very particular on trying to get it a little bit more rounded, look a little bit more three-dimensional, and trying to communicate that to a foreign country. It's an American pistol. It's got to look just right, and a lot of times they try and take the easier way out. And Jake's really good about being on them and getting it to come out exactly perfect, because we're all about the higher quality morale patches, not just quick, easy giveaways. So did that. We also got the couple other ones in the works. So we're trying to get a lot ready for this Stone Mountain machine gun shoot, which we'll be talking about in the announcements, which might as well segue right into the announcements. Bandwidth sponsor for this episode is brought to you by Patriot Patch Co. Check out all our newly added patches available for pre-order. So like I said, this 1911 patch, we've got the I Love Guns and Patches patch. We actually added 2 patches this last week. We've actually got a Patriot Patch Co. patch. So we've got a house patch with our own logo on there that I created. And we've got a Firearms Radio Network patch that we're making. So if you're a fan of this podcast and other podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network and you want to show your support, we're going to have a patch for the network on there too. And then I also added a government advisory patch. It's kind of like, when you buy the the 90s hardcore rap out CDs and they'd have the parental advisory sticker in the bottom side. This one says government advisory patriot content. So instead of explicit content, it's patriotic content. So that's kind of interesting. If you want to take a look at those, head on over to patriotpatch.co. We've also got some shirts on there as well that we've added recently. We've got the It's Dangerous to Go Alone, Take This with a pixelated M4 on there. Also the Nothing Beats a Classic Revolver patch. I'm sorry, Nothing Beats a Classic Revolver t-shirt. So check that out, patriotpatch.co. And then a couple more event plugs. I plugged last week in the post-production because I forgot to on live on air. So I'm actually remembering this week. two events coming up that we are going to be, or I'm going to be at. The first one is going to be at the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot. That's April 30th through May 1st, and that's in Pennsylvania. And that's going to be with Patriot Patch Co. We're going to have our own booth selling shirts and patches and some hats. So if you're in the Pennsylvania area and you want to go to a sweet machine gun shoot, check out the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot. I think it's stonemountainmachinegun.com. Like I said, April 30th through May 1st. I'll be there. Jake will be there. Tony, you might make an appearance.
Yeah, I want to make an appearance. They have a zip line, and I really want to jump on that and see if I can break it.
Awesome. So yes, there's that, and then a couple more weeks after that, we've got the NRA show, which I will be at, as well as Jake Challand and everyone else from the Firearms Radio Network, and probably everyone else in the firearms industry. So there's going to be a listener meetup available at the NRA show. It's going to be at the Cardinal Hall of Fame Cafe, Saturday, May 21st at 7:00 p.m. And there's Jake said that if anyone can say ambidextrous as well as he can, he will buy them a drink, or buy them their first drink. Not keep buying them drinks every time they say ambidextrous.
As well as he says it? Is that the proper termage?
Yeah, as well as he says it. So I don't know who's going to be the judge of that contest. I imagine after everyone's had a couple of drinks, everyone's going to be saying it, and it's going to be hilarious. So that's available too to everybody. So if you're at the NRA show and you want to meet us there. So that leads right into the product spotlight for this week. First up, we're going to be talking about Tikka's new T3. I think finally there's a rifle platform out there that's got more configurations than the Remington 700. This is the Tikka T3X now. So the T3X family still has the 1 MOA accuracy guaranteed, but they did add some unique features to it. It's got a modular stock, improved grip, a new recoil pad, a stock noise reduction built into the stock, a redesigned ejection port, improved rail attachment for your optics, a metallic bolt shroud, a steel recoil lug, and then there's just with the regular T3, there's a bunch of different variations of the T3X you can get, and I would list them, but you'd be listening to me talk and say T3, insert model name here for 3 minutes. So all the way from the light to the compact, the tactical, the super varmints, I'm just kind of skipping through a lot of them here. The hunters, there's basically all the configurations and more that they had for the T3 they've brought to the T3X line. So, boy.
Yeah, they have a ton of, like you said, a ton of models. They probably got 15 on this one page. And they definitely, it seems like they offer something for everybody, what you're looking for. As far as some of the improvements, they mentioned something about an asymmetrical grip, which I'm assuming that's kind of like a target grip where you have a swell on one side, maybe contoured more towards a right-handed or left-handed instead of just being generic for both, I would assume.
I don't know. A lot of their stuff is between marketing and translation from Finnish to English. I'm wondering what did they mean when they said what they said.
Yeah, that's what
I watched their videos and I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, asymmetric grip. I'm just not entirely sure what that's supposed to mean. But they said they improved the attachment rail to give, I think, more holes. I guess more mounting points for you to be able to mount stuff. I guess maybe there was a problem with the amount of attachment points. Maybe it just wasn't strong enough or something.
Well,
not sure there.
They set it up to attach a Picatinny rail section to it. That was one of the things they set up for. Because, pick rails are the new thing, you know what I mean? And it makes sense. And it makes it a solid mounting. Because we all know if your mount's loose, pretty much your accuracy's out the window.
Right. Now, they say modular stock. I think it says it has interchangeable pistol grips, making it possible to modify the angle of the grip. It allows for multiple shooting positions. Additional grips are sold separately. The T3X synthetic stock also has an additional attachment point, which allows you to change the width of the stock's forend. So it sounds kind of it doesn't look like it comes apart just from some of the
But it
pictures, but
does.
I guess it kind of slides off, maybe kind of
It
like a
slides
sleeve
straight
or
down.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it slides straight
Like
down
there's
and
a
it
seam.
reattaches.
I guess the seam kind of blends in with the different texture versus the smooth, so it
But
looks like it fits. It doesn't look like a weird piece of hunk on the bottom, you know. That's good. And then
they did a pretty
even
good job
with
with it.
some of the models, with the light adjustable, I think the tactical or tack model, they have adjustable cheek pieces. I think they have those on a few pieces. They even have the like a laminate stock, like a more target, like Olympic type stock, all kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, they have it. If you want it, they got it. Uh, I mean, the American market, we have our guns. We have our guns that we have history behind. Well, other countries have their guns that have a history behind them also. Antique is one of those brands that have been around for a really long time. So yeah, when they hit it, they hit everything. The American firearms market is huge, but we sometimes assume we're the only firearms market in the world,
Yeah.
and we would be wrong.
I like the sound deadening in the synthetic stocks. That's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Like I've got a Ruger American Predator that, I mean, it's just got a hollow synthetic stock, and I've been thinking about getting just some of that expanded construction foam just to fill up the
Yep.
stock with it.
So
But
So
it's
what is
nice
the issue
to not be able to do that or not have to do that.
What's the issue there? Like some of the
It's just
like
got
internal what makes the noise, I guess? Like what are we deadening the
well,
noise
the
of?
stock itself is just hollow, so everything
Uh-huh.
that knocks on it or you hit it against,
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
it makes a louder thud noise like you don't get on a wood stock.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So if you fill up that cavity with something to deaden the noise, it'll reduce your sound signature significantly.
Okay. So it's not so much like a rattle or something like that. It's just a move, like thudding against the side, like you said. I gotcha.
Right. And I mean, if
Well,
you've
if my
got,
plastic.
depending on the sling attachment
Go ahead.
system, you know, anytime you have your rifle move, and you're walking through the woods or whatever, you're stalking game, that sling attachment as it moves can make noise. So anything you have that can allow you to make less noise when you're out stalking game or
Okay.
whatever you're stalking.
Actually, now that I'm
One
looking
of
at
the
the
things.
picture that we have in the notes versus, like, if you just look at the, I guess if you go to the link we have, you can look at the TX TAC and the TX Lite. They're right next to each other. You can see that grip angle change that they were talking about pretty apparently on there.
Oh
So that's pretty interesting. Just I guess they threw that on a couple just to show the different ones for variations, and it looks like they have that same one. Even on the camo one, the insert's not camo, but the everything else is, and obviously they don't have that on like the wood stock ones.
Yeah, because the fore-end swell on the tactical ones is much bigger.
Yeah, that was one of the things in the notes too, is that's I guess not adjustable, but it's a replaceable, like a panel.
That's very cool.
So, and then one thing
Well,
I
I was
thought
looking at some of the other stuff they did,
was
and I couldn't figure out why would you make a redesigned ejection port. Well, they said one of the reasons to do it is when people zero in their rifle at the range, they don't want to keep taking it out of whatever they're holding it in and put a new mag in. So you can just single load it to get your zero.
Yeah,
And a lot of times too.
Ejection port too.
Go ahead,
Ryan.
TJ.
You're probably about to make the same point as me, but better.
I was just going to expand on that, the reloading aspect, because it uses that internal box magazine. If you're rolling your own loads and you're seating more toward the lands, depending on the type of bullet you're using and the ogive, it might be too long for the internal box magazine, in which case if you're want the most accuracy and that's the one load or the one bullet that you've preferred with your overall length, you might single load it instead of having to feed through the magazine. So there's another reason to do that as well.
Yeah, I know with like the AR, for example, I know a lot of people say you can't go over like 75 or 80 grain bullets just because they get so long after that point, and you have to single load it because they won't fit in the magazine.
Yep. So I mean, a lot of people do that at bench rest matches. They'll single load because it doesn't fit the mag well anymore. Even with some long actions, but more traditionally with short actions. Also, the fact that if you're out shooting and you've already expended your magazine and you only had one, it's always nice to have that ability to drop one in a little bit easier, especially when you have a scope mounted up, and you're starting to kind of hinder the clearance for getting around inside the action.
Yeah, it looks like they gave you plenty of room in there to toss a round in there.
Yep.
It looks like it also has a dovetail. I don't know if that's a standard dovetail for like the rimfire type scopes, or if that just happens to be like a machining feature. I wouldn't imagine you'd be putting like a 3/8 dovetail type rimfire scope on these things, but it's interesting that they put that. Do you see that?
Well, from what I can remember working at the shop, meaning Cabela's, Tikka T3s have their own rings. They're not Weaver, they're not Picatinny. They're specifically for Tikka T3s because of that kind of pseudo dovetail, and then also there's that lug in the top of the receiver. There's
I see that.
Where the hole, the recess, there's a lug on the rings themselves that go into that hole.
Okay, so that's their mounting, but they also put holes in the top for the mounting of a rail, rather than
Gotcha.
rather than having to buy their specific part.
It was looking like a flat spot. Go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead, man.
It was looking like a flat spot to me, just so you could put that one-piece mount on it as I was looking at it, but I've not handled one of these, so.
If you kind of look at both.
Go ahead, Tony. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was looking at just the different things they did because, when you change stuff up and they put it out there, I'm like, well, why did you change it? One of the things they said they changed it was steel, what was it? Steel recoil bolt?
Recoil lug.
Recoil lugs, I'm sorry. Was looking at two different things at once. Yeah, they changed out to steel recoil lugs, and I know, I'm like, why? Because most everyone has aluminum now. And one of their things was because of the heavier calibers some of these come in, the torque or the recoil would actually bend the recoil lugs. At least that's what they said during their presentation at one of the shows, industry shows. I was like, okay.
I think they offer it in a 300 Win Mag, if I'm remembering right. So they do offer it in some heavier calibers, so I guess that could take into play.
Yeah, so if you just do one thing for them all, it's just the one part. It's not an aluminum part and a steel part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's over-engineered. I think it makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Again,
do you know if they're getting rid of
the old company, so
T3? Are they just offering this as the evolution, or is there going to be two models now?
They didn't say they were getting rid of the T3, and they said every accessory for the T3 will fit the T3X.
Because see, they have an old model which are showing T3, so I'm wondering if this is just kind of there
it says model is no longer in production.
Right, so this is just, think of it like a Gen 2 kind of thing. So all the original T3 parts will fit. It just they decided to put all these upgrades and just make it the standard model now, which that's pretty cool. Okay. Rather than having to you can find the T3, but you can't find the T3X anywhere because they haven't started making them too much yet. They're basically, it seems like they're putting their focus on the new one rather than splitting it like some companies do. Which that seems pretty smart.
So they made every improvement. They tried to improve almost every aspect of the rifle before they put out a new generation. Instead of sometimes every industry show someone has, we have it in Cryptek now. Oh, now we have it in Coyote Brown. That's our new model. I'm like, that's a paint job. It's not a new model.
I did find an answer to the scope mount thing. It's the Sacco OptiLock. Is that dovetailed grooved base?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So there's a name for it.
Yeah, there is a name for it, and that's exactly what it is. It's a dovetailed mount that their proprietary scope rings go onto.
Interesting.
Cool.
What would the MSRP? I noticed you put on here varies. Did you see a minimum to?
I didn't.
What kind of a start range?
it's going to be different for each one, and they don't list prices on their website, so it's.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, what would I say? Like the Tika T3X Lite, and start with that MSRP. I mean,
yeah,
they're all
it'd be kind of hard to.
So yep, there's that. Website is tika.fi for Finland if you want to check that out. Next up in the show notes, we've got something that we've kind of talked about a little bit before, but they've expanded on it, and it's now more available. And I'm talking about the Rock Island Armory 22 TCM 9R conversion kit for the Glock. So if you're not already aware, 22 TCM is a cartridge that was developed to kind of make a bottlenecked 22 caliber cartridge in a handgun that increases velocity by a lot. Let's just say that. And so it was kind of designed with 1911s in mind. And now there's a Glock conversion kit available for both the Glock 17 and the Glock 19, two of the most popular 9mm handguns in the marketplace, both in the U.S. and I would say arguably, around the world, or at least in Germany or Austria, I would say. Mm-hmm. So this new conversion kit, it incorporates the new 22 TCM 9R, which is kind of the new development they found with the existing 22 TCM. It needed to be re-engineered to fit the 9mm magazines better.
Huh. Yeah. So what happened? The standard 22 TCM was designed around the 45 frame of the 1911, but when they tried to put it in it's like a 9mm case, kinda, but it's too long for a 9mm gun. So I think they basically just chopped the tip off the standard 22 TCM, made it a rounded soft point kind of thing, rather than like a Spitzer type. So that's the distinction between the standard and the R.
But the funny thing is, it's a little hot around, actually. Feet
the R
per second wise.
Yeah, well, it's a lighter grain, I believe, because it's a shorter bullet. But anyways.
So we're talking about usually around 115 grains. Let's see. It's 25. I'm sorry. It's 25% less than the average 115 grain Hornady.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the reduction in size.
40 grain.
Yeah, 40 grain.
2,000 feet per second muzzle
2,000
velocity.
feet per second.
Yeah.
Is that out of the Glocks or out of the rifle?
That's their advertised pistol velocity.
Nice. Yeah, that's screaming. And
they don't really say what barrel length that comes out of, but 2,000 feet per second is hot for a pistol round. Around, 350 foot-pounds of pressure from it?
312 is their advertised.
312.
And conversely, the regular 22 TCM is a 40 grain projectile, and they're advertising 1,875 feet per second on that one.
So
that's
my
weird.
thing again is,
a
lot of people compare this to a 9mm, and I'm thinking that's the wrong thing. I don't know. People compare it to a 9mm, but I think that's wrong. You compare it to something else like 32, like we were talking about, or something slower like even a 9mm Makarov. Because when it comes to it, I don't know about a 5.7, maybe a 5.7, or even 22 Magnum like they were talking before. It's a centerfire, it's bottlenecked, it's fast. You don't have this heavy recoil spring, which makes it easy for people with weak hand strength, arthritis, weak upper body strength, a handicap, missing limb, whatever. You know what I mean? Everyone's not the same in the firearms community, and we have to sometimes take that into account when we're talking about firearms, especially stuff used for self-protection or even clinking at the range. I mean, if you can't cock it, you can't shoot it.
Yeah, I think like Tony mentioned about the spring being a lot lighter. I picked one of these up. They had the 17 at the NRA show last year, and I think we talked to one of the reps there that I think was I forget exactly his position, but he wasn't just like a floor rep. He was like involved in stuff, you know. So he had a little good bit of information about it. He said the recoil spring on it is 8 pounds, and I think the recoil spring of a standard Glock 17 is something like 18 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know, half the weight. And then if you look at the pictures of them, the top of the slide toward the back, like the rear sight, is cut out. Like every last bit of material they don't need in the slide, they got rid of. And you know, it has that kind of compensated type cut in the front part of the slide. In the rear, it's cut out with these flutes. It's not compensated, but it has those kind of compensated cuts in the front. And as well as the barrel is tapered. You know, it's thick at the front and thick at the back where it needs to be. But since it's only a 22 going through, you know, a 9mm or a 40 caliber sized gun, the barrel can be thinner without any detriment. So the barrel's significantly thinner for the majority of it. So these things are crazy light and way easier to rack compared to, you know, a full, you know, 17 or 19, and then the weight. I wish I had some numbers of just the top end versus, you know, just this top end versus just a 19 or just a 17 top end, but I picked it up and it was significantly lighter. So I could see where Tony was getting at, where it being better for somebody with less strength. Definitely less strength in their hands because it'd be way easier to chamber, and then less, you know, getting fatigued holding it up for a longer period of time, which, you know, that can be a thing too during training. If you get tired of doing it, your training is going to suffer.
Another thing that I like about these things, or when you come to a state like New Jersey where you need a pistol purchase permit for every firearm you get, something like this that changes the caliber and changes the whole dynamic of the firearm itself is just a lot easier to get. You can order this. It's not a firearm per se, so it's not controlled. You know, it doesn't have to go through an FFL, so you can just order this and have it shipped to your house, and voila, you have a 22 TCM pistol now. Order your, what do you say, Timberwolf lower from Lone Wolf?
Mm-hmm.
And you can get yourself pretty much a highly customized Glock 19 in a caliber that's not normal, or it's not standard.
Yeah. And then even y'all had brought up the 5.7, just kind of thinking comparably, just based on some basic Wikipedia stuff they're giving. The foot-pounds are similar, right around 400 and less for the 400 for the 23 grain bullet out of the 5.7. So when you get a little heavier, it gets less, and so right around 400 for both. But then the advantage you get with the TCM is that 5.7's a really long round. You can't fit that in anything but a 5.7.
Yeah, that's a 28 millimeter round.
Yeah, versus the, you know, TCM, it's made to fit in a 45 magazine. You know, you can fit it in a heck of a lot more types of guns. So it's going to have a better grip thickness. You know, you're going to suffer a little bit on capacity because, you know, that 5.7 is so tiny that you can fit, what is the standard capacity for the pistols? What, 30 rounds? 25, 30 rounds?
I think
20
the
rounds.
standard capacity mag is
20?
On
20
the
rounds.
5.7.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about that
30 round.
Kel-Tec. Okay.
No, you can get a 30-round magazine for it too, but yeah,
Okay.
20 is
Yeah,
standard.
huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that Kel-Tec when I said 30. But even still, so yeah, even that's not that big of a difference then, because you can fit 17 in a Glock 17. That's probably roughly the same size as a 5.7, but the grip's shorter front to back. You know, so you're losing 3 rounds, but you're getting a easier, you know, smaller grip.
And that's easy to overcome with aftermarket mags or you know, extensions.
Yeah, you can get a Terran Tactical +6, and that doesn't add a ton of length, so you get even more than the 5.7.
There you go.
I guess one thing this round, they're saying that it's basically like a recoil-free flamethrower. I guess there's quite a muzzle blast. I've got a picture from the last Guns and Ammo I picked up. It's got the 22 TCM and the fireball coming out of it.
Nice.
Nice.
So
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And then obviously being able to engage, like, you know, your steel targets at 100 yards, you know, without having to, you know, adjust for elevation. You know, the dramatic drop of that heavier bullet, something going almost twice as fast as shooting a little bit more flatter. So that's cool if you want to, you know, shoot your pistol and kind of suck out your friends. Be like, okay, I bet you all buy me a beer if I can hit that steel at 100 yards with one shot with this Glock 19, and then enjoy your beer and profit. That's how that works.
Yeah,
I like that plan.
That could be fun. Another thing I was thinking about would be pretty cool for this type of round, not necessarily the pistol, but with this 22 TCM being able to fit in pistol type pistol size guns, that take pistol magazines. It would be pretty sweet to have something like a Kel-Tec where the magazine's further back, it's in the grip, or something like a bullpup that takes pistol magazines or something along those lines, to have something that's smaller, significantly smaller than an AR, but still shooting that really fast light bullet, versus a 9mm. I know it's not comparable to a 223, but it's kind of splitting the difference, I guess you could say, possibly. I don't have anything to back that up, but it seems like it could be. Obviously, everything's a compromise, but
the hope would be that the velocity would start to achieve that hydrostatic shock to where it's entering the tissue and it's forcing fluids away from the channel, which is causing more trauma to the body. So that's kind of what you want in a varmint caliber for shutting down varmints and just kind of shutting down the nervous system. So it's kind of hoping they'll be along those same lines in a defensive pistol, but you are definitely going to light up the entire house with that muzzle blast. So I did read that they are. I was going to say they will have both full metal jacket and hollow points for the 9R round.
Nice.
What were you going to say, Tony?
Well, I was looking up ammo costs, and it's about 37 cents a round for the hollow points. So again, it's not bad at all for hollow point round. I was checking out different suppliers for it because as cool as a bullet is, if it's too expensive to shoot, plink, or even have fun with, you don't want to do it. But at 37 cents a round, it's not very expensive. I mean, not very. It's a different round though. It's new, so it's what, only one manufacturer right now, which is Armscore.
Yeah,
Armscore.
Right. Armscore owns their own manufacturing plant, so imagine if they really want their new bullet to take off, they could drop the price as much as they want to get it in the market. So that's probably why it's not ridiculously expensive like some of these brand new kind of boutique rounds are. That was my first thing. When I saw the TCM, I was like, oh, it's going to be $1 per bullet kind of thing for the cheap range stuff. It's like, but I think Rock Island or Armscore, that whole corporation, whatever, they're really trying to get it to stick and not be one of these just kind of boutique things that everybody remembers. Oh yeah, that came out a couple years ago. It stuck around for a year or two and then fizzled out, kind of thing. Obviously, it's never gonna replace a 9mm or something like that. But it's a niche. It's niche, but it's still like a good kind of could be a good in between.
Yep. I really want to see what it'll do in ballistics gel. That's what I want to say. The 5.7 is kind of proven itself out of a longer barrel. Out of a handgun, it's not completely stellar, but they did a lot of work with this 22 TCM. The round's been around for, I want to say 3, 4, maybe 5 years now.
They developed the bolt action.
Yeah, they've got a bolt gun.
They got the bolt action rifle.
Which is very cool because that thing's shooting that round at almost 3,000 feet per second out of it's like a 22, almost 23-inch barrel. I would love to see Armscore work up a carbine in this round.
There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier.
Glock mags.
Not necessarily maybe not like a bolt action rifle, like maybe more of like that Kel-Tec kind of. That really short package, with the mag in the grip, because that shortens it up by a few inches, and make this tiny package that has something like a sub 2000, that kind of form factor.
CMR 30.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah. I mean, you get it.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was SHOT Show 2015, and before that, I was kind of brought up on the show. modern weapon systems, the Ion. It's a carbine that's chambered in 22 TCM. So they've got a pistol version, SBR version. It kind of goes from 5, 7, 10-inch barrels, and then they've got a 16-inch barrel rifle.
Well done.
It's all 22 TCM. So we talked about that 2015.
Oh yeah.
And I met them at SHOT Show and talked to them, and I think I even did an interview on the Firearms Radio Network with them. So
Sweet.
Cool guy.
Yeah. But see, that's kind of like where I was getting at with the mag and the grip. This is still that MP5 style where it's above, in front of the grip, so you could reduce that length by 4 or 5 inches by putting it in the grip. So you could have a full 16-inch barrel without being too ridiculously lengthy, especially with something like a folding or a collapsing stock. That would just be a sweet little package.
Yep. Cool.
All right, gents, I got to head out.
All right, take it easy, man.
Bye, Steven.
See you, Steve.
Later.
Bye.
So the MSRP on these conversion kits is advertised at $431 for either the Glock 19 or the Glock 17. Retail, you find it for less. I just happened to find it on Cabela's real quick. They've got it for $419.99. I'm sure you'll be able to find it for somewhere around that, or maybe even lower, closer to $400 range. So they are available for you to get right now. Moving on to the next product, we're going to talk about a plate carrier that is a little bit priced more for somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of money to invest in a really nice, expensive, kind of full-size plate carrier. So this is from Grey Ghost. They're kind of part of Grey Ghost Precision. There's basically Grey Ghost Retail. So the precision side of the company, they make all sorts of really nice AR-15s, AR-10s, precision rifles, and they are in the Northwest in my state of Washington. They've also got this basically retail store where they have your armor, your gloves, your plate carriers, your gear, that kind of stuff. So the minimalist carrier they came out with a while ago, and this is basically priced to be like an entry-level plate carrier that you can afford. You can buy one for each member of your family and be able to, give everybody some sort of basic ballistics protection. Because usually plate carriers are above, you're right around like $200, maybe lower. When they get into the lower range, they're probably made overseas. The stitching is kind of arguable, like whether or not it's going to hold up over time. And I've actually seen this in person when I went to their store, and I can tell you that for as kind of minimal as it is, it's where it gets its name, the minimalist plate carrier. It's actually got really quality craftsmanship to all the stitching. So the price for it is $115 MSRP. That's easily can get you, save you money on the plate carrier where you can invest in some nicer plates. Or if you're buying this for multiple people, you and your friends, you and your family, you can have a lot more money in your pocket for buying actually the armored plates to insert into the plate carrier with the cost savings. So the color you're looking at: black, coyote brown, multicam, and wolf gray.
There's a new one, Tony.
There's a new one. It's probably between battleship gray and stealth gray, and maybe Star Fox gray. I don't know. It's wolf gray.
Nice.
So the minimalist plates designed with just the lighter is better, with minimum frills and not a bunch of extra like molly and stuff hanging everywhere to weigh you down and kind of hinder movement, something you've got to train for. The idea of you could strap this thing on and not lose a whole lot of your rotational flexibility and things like that. So it's designed to carry 10 by 12 hard plates or a large ESAPI plate. There are 6 rows of Molle PALS webbing with built-in matching loop material on the top 3 rows for the option of adding your Patriot patches. The front of the carrier also features a discrete stash pocket that makes perfect storage for putting small items you need in a hurry, like maps, cash, credit cards, ID cards, even like maybe a small knife. Made for one size to fit most body types, which I don't know if that's exactly true. There's a lot of body types out there. The shoulder straps are adjustable with an integrated elastic strap to help keep it snug. It's constructed from mil-spec materials to stand up to hard use, as well as it's lined with an air mesh for comfort and breathability, and the plate pockets are lined with light lock pack cloth for abrasion resistance. So that's just so the plate itself doesn't rubbing inside the plate pocket start to rub down on that material.
Yeah, I think after looking at this, I'm pretty sure this is the carrier that Nick from Practical Tactical runs when he does the like the shoot house classes and stuff.
Shoot
like
house,
that.
yeah.
A lot of those require.
This is it. He did a review on it. Yeah, this is actually what he uses.
Yeah. So
I have a minimalist plate carrier myself from Condor. It only has one on the front, and this thing is tiny compared to that Condor plate carrier. If you looked at Simon Says Train or you checked out my Instagram account, you see a picture of me in the class with my plate carrier on, which looks tiny, by the way, on me. This thing would probably look even smaller because it's pretty much just the plate and two straps.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, it's very, very close to the plate. It doesn't have like extra flap material going around. It's very, very, very small compared to the plate size. It's 10 by 12.
And truthfully,
it holds a 10 by 12
go.
plate,
I mean,
probably not more than 10.5 inches wide,
Yeah, it seems to me a great idea because, I mean, I wore that one plate carrier and it shifted a little, and I had to, tighten it up. But this with the Velcro, that's not going to shift or become undone or whatever. They said the side strap has some bungee in it also, along with the buckle. I was watching a couple of reviews. One of them was Nick from Practically Tactical, and he had Jesse on there with him, and Jesse put this minimalist up under his shirt or under his sweatshirt. You couldn't even tell he had one on. Another cool thing about how it is right now, just the plate carrier itself, is you can keep all your stuff mounted on your belt. So if you carry, outside or inside the waistband, the plate carrier itself is not hindering you drawing from your waistband or taking anything off your belt. A lot of these bigger carriers, they go down and everything gets bunched up in the way and just becomes a hassle.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason for the the offset drop leg type holsters is to clear your plates. But with something like this, I mean, like I said, Nick runs these in his in the shoot house classes he does, and I'm pretty sure he carries the same way he carries concealed, So I imagine they're pretty out of the way for that type of stuff,
Yeah. I mean, because it's so minimal, I mean, I was going to pick one up, but I decided that maybe it was a little bit it almost looked too small for me, but the plate size is the same size that the normal sized, the non-minimalist plates are used. So what you're seeing on those is just extra fabric, extra material, where those aren't stopping bullets.
Right.
So the only thing that they're giving you is the extra real estate for all your water bottle holders and your magazine pouches, and you pretty much cover that all around your body and your sides. Well, then you've severely weighed yourself down and limited your amount of movement. Whereas this, I mean, it's the reality of body armor in these plate carriers is that if you get shot in the side or below the where the plate is, it may not kill you immediately, but that's kind of what it's meant to protect your vital organs that will end your life much faster if they get hit with a bullet versus if you got hit in the side or the kidneys or the gut. You could at least get medical attention and get that taken care of, but it doesn't exactly take you out of the fight.
Right, because it covers the vitals, not necessarily like your stomach and intestines and stuff like that. Because like Ryan said, it's like you want to protect the stuff that's going to kill you within minutes. Obviously, you don't want to get shot in the stomach, but it's going to take you a few days to die from that. If you don't find medical attention, rather than a few minutes. So it's kind of like, obviously, you don't want to get shot, but you want the most important stuff covered. And
right.
this covers those.
Well, one of the things I often see when people talk about citizens, normal everyday citizens that aren't law enforcement, why would you need a plate carrier? Why do you get that stuff? What are you looking for? What are you hoping for, or anything else? It's usually some negative connotations. Well, my thing is, as a firearms instructor, sometimes I'm going on public ranges full of idiots. And yeah, I actually will say something to someone. If that doesn't work, I'll speak to the range personnel and have someone thrown off if they're a threat. But as I'm teaching a class, I can't not only not pay attention to my students while, Joe Bob and his idiot friends are over there next to me. So having a plate carrier like this, minimalist, so I don't need a bunch of stuff on it. I just need the plates, covering up my vitals. And that makes sense. It doesn't cost a regular plate, just the plate itself costs about $65. So you can get 2 of those. I heard they have a lot of sales over here at Grey Gear, Grey Ghost Gear. So who knows? You can probably catch this for even less than the $115 they're asking for. So to give yourself that ability, and again, you can cover it up and no one even knows you have it on when you wear a jacket or a big sweatshirt. So why not have something that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and it gives you that ballistic protection?
Yep.
Depends on what you're thinking about.
What I really strongly believe in is that if you're getting a plate carrier and hopefully training, please God, say you're training, but you get a plate carrier in the mind frame of when stuff hits the fan and you're going to be running around, gathering. I don't know if you run out of supplies or you're making supply runs. If you're picturing yourself in a Walking Dead scenario where instead of zombies you've got like criminals and people running around shooting each other, if you're wearing an a plate carrier or any kind of tactical vest outside of your clothing, out in the open, you're going to be a target. You're going to get targeted. You're going to be shot. They're going to loot your body, take all your goodies. Take your $200 tactical knife that you only use to cut oranges, and they're going to do you a whole lot of good. So the idea of having something like this that's going to provide you the protection, if you need to attach something to the front MOLLE-wise, like a knife that you can pull downward underneath your sweatshirt, but if you can put a jacket or sweatshirt over it, that's going to do you a lot better because you're going to blend in and not stick out like a sore thumb. And so I think I'm heading to Auburn. I'm going to pick one of these up.
Yeah, people often say silly stuff like, well, what are you, zombie apocalypse, Hurricane Katrina? How about Ferguson? How about Baltimore? I mean, those aren't things that did not happen. They happened, and they happened quickly. And pretty much law enforcement stepped back because they were told to. And you just have all kinds of people roaming around doing a lot of things. So why not have that ballistic protection for yourself to get out of Dodge, to pick up supplies, and when things can turn bad, at least you're cool and good to go. A lot of people want to think short term when it comes to their own personal safety, but what are you going to do when you're around that corner and you see 10 or 12 dudes just hanging around robbing people in the parking lot? You know what I'm saying? You just don't know how things will go if it happens to you between the store and your vehicle. Why not have it if you already know the situation is bad? That's all I'm saying.
So the only thing I would say is if you're going to get plates, because it does have kind of exposed corners for where the left, right, bottom, and top corners of the plate are kind of showing, I would probably say get an armor plate that's got that rubberized, almost like rhino lining coating on that. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost becoming a standard now because of it does such a good job at catching that splash of the jacket shrapnel. Usually if you get shot in the vest, the material kind of acts as catching some of those particles from spurting out, and if you've got your arms in front of you, those exposed corners, you might have some shrapnel coming out of those if you do not have one of those rubberized plates. So
AR-500 plates like that.
Yeah.
Actually, I got mine from Sean over at Black Bag Resources. He sells them too. And that's where I got mine. And it has the right on it because we were really worried. It all came from one class. It all came, both of us had the epiphany of we need to armor up from one class with one table of idiots beside us. And that really made us think about this. It was that bad. that we were
Nice.
like, if something happens, we're hit.
Cool. So yeah, $115. It's not bad. I think I wanted multicam. I think they were out of that. They just had coyote brown and black. So maybe I really should just drop my standards for the color because it's probably going to be underneath a sweatshirt most of the time. So who cares what color it is?
Well, in that case, get yourself some underwater gray.
Yeah, right. Well, everyone knows when the zombie apocalypse comes, everything's going to be covered in dust. So it's going to be gray anyway. So you want to blend in, you got to go urban gray.
Do you think it's some kind of thing they do in marketing class to come up with new names for the world's most boring color?
It's one marketer who wants to. It's really you're looking at what everyone else is doing and you want to fit in, but then you also want to kind of branch out and start like blaze your own path. But when you've got so much of this like pop culture with movies and TV shows, kind of showing you depicting what the future is going to be like, bleak and whatever. You know, it's kind of how you advertise your product. Like, oh man, it's got to be, you know, stealth gray, or it's got to be ATAX AU, because it blends into, you know, post-apocalyptic urban environments. I'm patenting that. Don't you take that. Post-apocalyptic.
Now.
Yeah, right. All right, so there's that.
Before we move on,
go ahead.
In the show notes, I put right under the, right in this section, I put the link to Nick's practical tactical review, and then a show that he also put on called Intro to Plate Carriers. So if anybody wants to go and watch those, the review's 10 or 12 minutes long, and he seems to be really impressed with it.
Oh yeah, thanks for doing that.
Hey, the coolest thing about that review, look for the Steve Fisher sighting.
Yeah, the the Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti sighting in the video is just awesome. It's like Bigfoot.
Sweet. So yeah, check out Practically Tactical for those for more information. They do a lot of great reviews, and this is not coming from a bunch of keyboard commandos like this guy right here. This is coming from people that have actually served and actively trained. I know Nick does a lot of stuff with MDFI and these, actively training situations. So check those out. So reviews, I've actually got a review this week. Holy cow. So this one, man, I sat down, I started typing, and the narrative on this guy is crazy. I think sometimes I wish I wrote for a magazine. But anyway, I'll try and keep it short and sweet for the podcast. Obviously, for the video and audio portion, this kind of has a little bit of both that are important for you to see. So I'm doing the Speed Vault SV500, and this is from the company Gun Vault. Now, Gun Vault is fairly well known in the personal safe market. Their logo has kind of the 4 fingers with dots at each one of the tips, and that is their kind of patented no eyes keypad. So when you're looking at safes at the gun store and you see a bunch of safes with kind of finger grooves built into them, that's a gun vault. And that's so if you've got it next to your bed at night and you get the lights off, you could reach over and put your hand on the top, and each of your fingers could fit inside those grooves, in which case it kind of indexes your hand for you so you can hit your buttons and you're not searching for the buttons. So that's kind of what they're mostly known for. This is the Speed Vault. Obviously, it does not have the no eyes. It does have just a keypad up top here. This is a bedside / desk side / anywhere you want to put it personal handgun safe. This thing is awesome. I've wanted one for a while. I bought it for myself for Christmas just because I had a bunch of points saved up, and I wanted to get one. And from I think, let's see, then there's 2 models. There's the SV500, and it's what I'd call analog, but it's these buttons right here. And then there's the SVB500, and that's the biometric model. So instead of the 4 buttons on the top, it's just going to have a biometric fingerprint reader. And that's kind of what Gun Vault's also incorporating into a lot of their products now, is the biometric scanner. You can put multiple fingerprints in there if you want yours, your spouse, your kids, your brothers, so that way anyone could access the vault using their individual fingerprint. But I chose to go with the standard one because, 1, it was cheaper, and 2, I like the idea of if for whatever reason I'm entering the code and I mess up, it's on me. That's something that I can train for, develop muscle memory. If my hands were bloody, oily, greasy, and that interfered with the scanning of the finger, then that's kind of shared fault on both my fingers for getting dirty or bloody, but also on the machine, I can't get my gun. So I thought it was really nice just to have the buttons on here. They're pretty tangible. They're rounded. They've got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 printed on them. That's not really going to really matter at nighttime. Programming the code, it basically uses a 6-digit. It can go up to between 3 and 6 digits. So you can do 111. Or you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, or any combination we're in. You can also use double or triple presses as a single entry. So if I wanted to do 1 and then holding down 1 and 2 at the same time, and then 3 and then holding down 3 and 4 at the same time, that would be an acceptable code I could program into it. So that's kind of nice because it makes it a little bit harder. It adds to the amount of possibilities there are for someone to try and figure it out. Now, if you are concerned about that security, mostly this is meant to keep honest people honest, but also keep your kids out of it. But also, I would arguably say this is the most secure and fastest way to get your firearm. If you're more traditionally like sleeping in your bed, you reach over and access it. It's secure. Your kids can't get into it. Your roommate can't mess around with it and monkey it open. They probably could get it open eventually, prying at it, but it's kind of designed to take a while. It's not like a actual gun safe like a vault. So the nice thing about it is the mounting plate that it uses. It's kind of an L bracket. I didn't want to unbolt it from my nightstand, so I left it bolted there. I just took the safe off for the show. But you can see on the left side and the right side, as well as the back side, there's a pattern in here. You've got 2 slots in the top, and those are for hooks that actually indexes into the mounting bracket, and it kind of suspends the safe in place, which lines it up to the 3 holes. So there's kind of a right hole, a left hole, and then a lower center hole. And so basically you have to unlock the safe and then remove this plate from the bottom so you can take it off its hinge. Remove the door, and that way you can get in there with your hand and hand tighten these little screws that then bolt it into the mounting bracket. So you can mount it left or right side of a piece of furniture, or you can mount it straight back into it using the mounting holes on the back. So the screws that it comes with, unfortunately, they're not really drywall screws or cinder block screws. So if you want to mount it straight into your wall, you're going to have to go to the hardware store and get the right screws for those. What it does come with are just, I didn't measure them. They're probably about 1.5 inches or 3/4 of an inch. I'd say, I'm sorry, 1/2 inch is what I meant to say. So just long enough to go into most dressers without interfering with the drawer. Obviously, if the screw is too long, and you'd start to basically screw the drawer so it's fixed in there and can't move. But it works really well right onside the bed, but it's so small you can tuck this in underneath your desk too at work if you're allowed to have a firearm at work. But as long as it's in a secure spot, or if you own your own business, then that's your prerogative. This can be at your desk where nobody can get to it but you. So obviously it comes with the keys to get to it, unlock it, without using the code, or if the battery is dead, you can use the keys to get into it. I'm actually not going to use the keys because I want to show you guys and let you listeners hear what it sounds like from the factory. Because one of the biggest complaints is that, oh, it beeps. It sounds like you're trying to heat up some dinner in your microwave. So you're going to hear the beeping when I press the buttons. Also, you're going to hear this loud clunk. I'm going to do it next to the microphone on purpose so you can hear that. Might be a little bit more exaggerated that way, but that's one of the other complaints that this gets, is that it's not quiet when it opens. So let me go ahead and hit the code here. So you heard all that. So obviously the 4 beeps for my code, and then the loud noise is actually the unlocking mechanism winding up and releasing, and it kind of uses gravity and the weight of your firearm and just the weight of the door itself to hinge itself open. There is a rubber stopper on the very bottom that kind of catches it, and it's got a spring built in there. So you hear a little bit of that too, but I'll do it one more time. So, but the good news is, on the inside, it obviously is lit. It's got an LED little bulb in there that illuminates your handgun so that you can see where you're reaching. But it does present your gun in a outward format to where you can reach in there and grab it by the grip and pull it straight out. So right now I've got my Smith & Wesson M&P in there. I can just kind of reach in, put my fingers right around the grip, and pull it right out of the foam pocket. So obviously this is my M&P. It's got a TLR3 flashlight on there, which means that you could put a flashlight in here, or a flashlight mounted gun in here, which is especially nice for home defense. So there's the internals. So you see it's just a foam pocket. It's 2 pieces that are, got a nice seam in the middle that can expand around your gun, but there's just kind of a larger rectangle hole in there. So that's kind of for your slide to go. And then wherever the length of your barrel versus your trigger guard, the foam kind of just conforms around it at that point. So I know what you're thinking, well, what if I wanted my full-size 1911 to fit in there? Well, it will fit. However, this is my 5-inch Smith & Wesson revolver. It does not have a rectangular slide. It has this, obviously rounded barrel from a revolver. It bottoms out in there, so the frame doesn't actually make contact with the foam at all. Not to mention that the grip hangs out of there, so I wouldn't even be able to close the door. So if you want to put a revolver in this guy, it's got to be a small, considered compact revolver. I haven't tried it with like an SP101 or anything, but so you do have that to worry about. You're not going to put your hog leg in here, obviously. But on the inside, there's 2 buttons, and there's a print right underneath them. One says learn, and one says mute. So if you held down the learn button, it would then beep at you, and then you could enter in your code. And I'm not going to go through that on the air because that'll just sound like a bunch of beeping to you. But there is a mute button, and if you press and hold that down, the red light on the safe then turns to green and flashes green a couple times. So now I've just muted my speed vault. So now when I enter my code, you don't hear the beeps anymore, but you can still hear the vault opening. Now I've tested this. I've sent somebody outside of the bedroom. I'll close the door, send them out in the hallway outside the bedroom, and then opened it, and they said that they couldn't hear it really. So it's not as loud as it seems when you're like right next to it. Your head's like 2 or 3 feet from it. Definitely when you're in the bedroom, you can hear it open. But if you're talking about somebody who had just got through your threshold in your house, and by the time you get this open, they're not going to hear it from across the house. So it's not too bad. It just makes that noise, and there's not a whole lot you can do to decrease it. Obviously, muting it is awesome because you don't want it to, like I said, sound like some kind of electronic device or microwave. Let's see here. I've also tested it out with a Glock 19 with a larger TLR1 flashlight. Still fit in there just fine.
Hey, Ryan.
Yep.
There's mounting on both sides of that, or just on one side?
All three sides. So the left side, the right side, and the back. Yep.
I gotcha. It's just the way you're holding it a minute ago. I guess I didn't see it.
I moved my camera for this episode, so I'm looking in the direction where the camera used to be. So I guess I have to pay a little bit more attention. So here's the view of the both sides and the back.
Okay.
So it's got that pattern in there, which affixes right to that mount.
Cool.
So how you get the door open, obviously on the bottom here, you've got 2 screws. You have to unlock the safe first, get the door kind of partially hinged, and then you remove these 2 thumb screws, and then that will then allow you to remove the door and then access without having to prop the door open and get your hand in there. So it's built pretty well. Let's run through the key features real quick.
Hey, before you go on, I'm gonna head out here.
Quitter. That's fine.
Yep. So I'll talk to you guys later.
It's not a flashlight, so TJ don't care.
All right. You're gonna miss the flashlight, bro.
Oh well. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, man.
So Claim to Fame keeps your handgun safe, secure, and ready for action with the Speed Vault, offering a revolutionary design. The Speed Vault is equally as fast as it is discreet. It is the ideal choice for a home or business looking for added security. The target market is those seeking basic security with quick access in the home or office. Features and benefits, obviously the digital keypad or the biometric version, multiple mounting options, the 18-gauge steel construction, it's got a tamper-resistant door, backup override key included, audio and LED low battery warnings, and foam-lined interior. The weight is 6.61 pounds, and the outer dimensions are 13 inches by 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So there's no other aesthetic options other than you can get the biometric version. What others are saying, first one, I've got a Sportsman's Warehouse user review, and I bought it from Sportsman's Warehouse because I had some points with them. So they gave it 4 out of 5 stars. They said, works great, easy to install. I watched a video on YouTube, and I would recommend to anyone wanting immediate access to their weapon by their bedside, and also for safety reasons, as children cannot gain access without the code or key. Also great to have the keys as a backup in case our memory goes away with age and we forget the code. Only concern is light does come on when it opens, and there's a pretty audible clunk when the drawer drops. And the other review that I grabbed was from Amazon. It says this is not a safe against determined intruders, nor is it a fire safe. It is a safe that will stop kids and honest adults from getting the gun while keeping it ready to use if needed. If you want a serious gun safe, then don't buy this, and then complain that it is thin metal but not flimsy by any measure. After installing it with the short screws on solid wood, I can say that it would take a heck of a blow from a sledgehammer to knock it loose, or a determined assault from a crowbar, but then again, it is not designed to stop a determined attack. Finally, if you are concerned about the people saying it is too loud or the light is too bright, here's a reality check. As much as I like to imagine myself as Liam Neeson going rogue and blasting my daughter free from sex traffickers, this is not the case. This is not a product for Black Ops agents. It is a product for responsible gun owners with families. If we have to draw a gun against a person to defend ourselves in our home, a light or a whirring noise is the least of our problems. It is a great product, and the price is right. That guy needs to be on our show because that was an awesome review.
Yeah, I think it was me, actually. It sounds like something I'd write.
Yeah, it would. It would. So the price point is $226.99. I bought it at I bought it at Sportsman's Warehouse for, I think it was $199.99, and I had a bunch of points that took a bunch of money off. I think I got like $40 or $50 off. I should have bought it from Amazon because they have it for $125.61. Now you can find this other places too. I know Home Depot carries it on their website. Almost every store that carries some kind of handgun safes, like a sporting goods store, should carry this. So check it out. But that Amazon price, I've got the link in the show notes, and that is an affiliate link. That's a pretty good price. You can get it from Brownells too. I do have the Brownells link in the show notes. Let's see what the price on that was. $174.99. That's the biometric version. I think, is it the biometric? I can't tell. It's got B in the. I don't think it is. That looks like it's the standard SV500. So Amazon has Brownells beat on that one. So my rating is I gave it a 8.5 as great. The pros, very simple to program, large buttons are easy to use without really needing your vision. They're just in 4s, 2 stacked above 2 more. The keypad sequence can contain a combination of 2 to 3 buttons simultaneously pressed, which kind of adds to the complexity of it. The bright white internal light illuminates the contents, so you can make sure you can grab the grip, and you should use muscle memory from training, but it's nice to be able to see, especially when you're under duress. You've got the adrenaline pumping. It's good to be able to at least have a little light directly on your pistol. There's an audible beep when the button's pressed, but it's easily muted, like I just demonstrated on the show here. Flexibility and mounting options. I mean, if you can mount this on the, like I said, inside of your desk, the inside of your nightstand. You can mount it into your headboard, into the wall. I wish I had a crappy vehicle, because I would get one of these and just hack away at the dash and have this mounted inside my dash, because it would be awesome for in the vehicle if it was facing you. Like if it was just to maybe the left or the right of the CD player or the radio, that would be a great position to be able to access this. And it would, not really look seamless, but okay, it would be pretty bubba if you did have this in like your Jeep Cherokee. But I'm saying that, you can mount this in multiple places. If you are an RV aficionado and you travel and you're in an RV, well, you could mount this inside your RV or your camper. That's what I'm saying. It's easy to mount it into multiple places.
I've been looking into this, getting this myself.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So just very audible mechanical whining, clunking, and there's not really much you can do about it. If there's something I could shove more foam into to dampen that, I would love to, but I just can't the way it's set up. The mounting bracket lacks screw hole options for wall studs, meaning you don't have big enough screws to do that. So you're gonna have to go to the hardware store and get some new screws or dig through your junk drawer. They included, because the included mounting screws are short. The double or triple press codes are finicky and can cause incorrect entries, which is something you got to be mindful of. So like my code has just a double entry. It's the 1 and the 4, so it's a diagonal. If I don't hit it just right, if I hit the 1 first and then hit the 4, it's going to count as a negative. So it'll flash red 3 times telling me that it was incorrect. So you have to really be simultaneous with your presses in order for it to read, or else it's not going to work. So with practice, you just kind of learn. There's a little bit of a delay and lag from the door opening and hitting the last button in your sequence. But once you get the hang of it, it's not hard to do it correctly each time. Like I said, if you're just a little bit slow with both fingers. See, that one I purposely tried to press 1 just a millisecond faster, and it still worked. So there's just a little bit of a tolerance in there you got to be aware of. Also, the low battery warning light does not come on by itself. So when you press a button, it's supposed to flash low battery at you by flashing that red light. It will not do that on its own. So say for whatever reason your battery is low, you will not know it unless you try and open your safe. Now, unfortunately, for most people, the only time they're going to open their safe is when they need the gun. That's going to be 90% of the time when they open it. I keep my kind of home defense gun in there, but I've got so many pistols that I just don't really need access to that specific one inside here next to my bed all the time. So that kind of sucks because your battery could be dead and it didn't alert you previously until you tried to access it. So that's kind of a bummer. But I still give it an 8.5. One other pro I forgot to mention is it's got tamper evidence on there. And what I mean by that is, you say you enter your code correctly every time. So let's see, I'm going to enter it correctly. Actually, I just entered it incorrectly, which works perfectly for my demonstration. So the tamper detect feature. So if you enter an invalid code and it flashes red, say it was like your kid trying to get into it, they think they knew your password, but they didn't, and then they lost interest and they went away. You yourself, you can just hold down the 2 and 3 buttons for 5 seconds, and then the light will then flash red at you to indicate that it's been tampered with. So it flashes green once, and then you keep holding it down, and then it should flash red at you. There, it just did for me. So that kind of lets you know that someone tried getting into it. And then there is a security sleep mode. So say your kid's trying to get into it. They're trying to figure out your code, running through all the possibilities. If within 24 entries on the keypad has not been a correct entry, it'll go to sleep mode for 2 minutes. And then during that sleep mode, if any button is pressed, the LED blinks red and the alarm beeps 3 times. So you can be able to hopefully hear your kid trying to get into it, or that sound and that negative red light is enough of a deterrent for them to go, well, it's not going to open, I might as well go off. So that's going to last for 2 minutes. You'll be able to see if someone's been trying to get into it, tamper with it. Let's see. The battery uses a 9-volt battery, obviously not included. So when you get this out of the box, you can probably get it set up in 20 minutes or less. If you don't have a 9-volt battery, which was my case, it's going to take longer because you got to run to the gas station to get a battery for it. So keep a note that's not included. So did you have any questions, Tony?
Yeah, actually, I'm picking this up. I'm getting a couple of these for our active shooter. We're going to do this at work. We're going to have actually these on site for certain people to have at their desk to be able to get to their firearm if there's an active shooter situation at the workplace. I've gone through a lot of different of these safes. I'm trying to figure out which is good, which isn't good. I went by a lot of different reviews. I went and checked out everything on YouTube, and I was trying to find the best that'll be available to us for that current situation. And what we came up with was these. The guys wanted to actually have the biometric reader. I couldn't convince them otherwise because it's new and it's neat, and I'm the only one that's actually a locksmith. And I wanted to tell them that the technology is kind of iffy. I don't know if it works with blood on your hands or not. And I think that'll be important to know if you're bleeding or if you try to render first aid to someone and you have blood on your hands. Can this biometric reader read through that? I don't know. But this is what they wanted. So we're going to order a couple of these and have them installed hopefully in the next month.
Cool. Yeah. Kind of in my write-up leading into the review, I'm talking about how it's kind of a catch-22 having a self-defense pistol in the home, just because pistols are the number, or rifles, shotguns, and pistols out of those 3, handguns, because they're so easy to get and operate and have a negligent discharge. They're kind of the more, like I said, prone to that ND in the house. So you want a secure gun, but you don't want it so secure that it's going to take you 5 minutes to access it, because when someone's breaking into your home or there's some kind of emergency where you need to defend yourself, like the saying goes, the police are minutes away. Whereas if it only takes seconds to get into this safe, get out your handgun, well, at least you've got a gun in your hands while you're waiting for the police to show up. So it rests on your shoulders, but it's nice quality, and then it's going to be hard for anyone to get into it. A lot of times somebody will get a safe for handguns, where it's more traditional, kind of like a box, and the handgun's laying in there horizontally. Those things can get so large, and people want to put more things in there, like their passports and their jewelry and stuff, that it doesn't really, you don't typically keep it like out in the open right next to your bed. Usually you like to hide it because it's more secure when it's hidden or bolted down to something. So this bolting down to furniture obviously gives it security, because somebody who breaks in and you're not home can't just like walk out with it very easily. But the fact that it just gives it to you is so fast, arguably probably one of the fastest accessing safes, as far as, if you were to be laying in bed with the lights off and then you started a shot timer, you'd be able to get the gun out of this safe probably faster than most other safes that are sitting on your nightstand or slid underneath your bed, or maybe they're inside the drawer of your nightstand. It's just a really great design, and it's so small that it's almost like it's low profile. You don't really see it. When I'm showing my friend that comes over, hey, check out my new gun safe, like they don't even see it unless I point it out to them, just the way it's positioned in between the nightstand and the bed. But I can easily, with my eyes closed or with the lights off, roll over, feel the buttons with my hand and get it out of there, or enter the code and retrieve my handgun. So it's a really good product. I'm satisfied with it, even for its little hiccups. It would be a perfect if it did not make such a loud opening sound. But maybe that's just going to cost more in the long run if they have to do extra in the manufacturing to eliminate that sound. And then it might be an over $200 unit priced like their biometric unit. So, yep, that's my review on that. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I
Tony?
think people make a lot, I wanted to be silent. Well, you're not silent. I mean, depending on your home, I mean, I live in a 2-story. I can hear when someone gets up upstairs. I can hear when people move around.
Yeah.
You're not that stealthy and silent. I think a lot of people make much ado about nothing when it comes to how much noise the safe makes when you open it, because you're about to make a whole heck of a lot more noise if they don't get out of your house.
And honestly, if you did wake up because you heard, the alarm go off, or you heard glass break, like someone breaking in through a window, your adrenaline is going to be pumping so much you're not even going to hear it yourself. Let alone the gunshots.
Exactly.
You actually have to use your firearm. So, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just have a lot of time on their hands, and they just want to come up with something negative about a product.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. So hopefully we'll be getting these in soon, and I can let you know, because I told them, listen, when I order these, I'm going to be checking them out, and I'll probably do a review on them.
There you go, man. Do it. Cover your hand in like olive oil and blood and all sorts of stuff, and try the biometric out and let me know if it works.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm going to, because truthfully told, my life is going to be one of the ones these people may save that day.
Yeah.
If it works.
Sweet. So there's my review on that. You can check it out on the Firearms Insider website. So the last product of the day, Tech Gadget app. This is the flashlight we were kind of talking about before. I always try and throw a flashlight on for TJ, but sucker left before we even got to it. So I was looking at Browning's, all their new products that they're branching out with, and they re-released a flashlight with in their Hell's Canyon Speed. And I was gonna bring that on the show, but from what I can tell, it was the exact same as their like Alpha Max flashlight. It was just had that ATAX camo applied, and I didn't want Tony to make fun of me for liking ATAX, so I kind of looked through their flashlight selection, and I picked something that was kind of more applicable and maybe a little bit more interesting to talk about, because it actually had some, I guess, different functions on it. So we're gonna be talking about the Hellcat flashlight from Browning. And the Hellcat is designed with almost like a safety selector, like an AR-15. It's got 3 selections on there, so there's no toggling of a tail cap to scroll through the lighter or dimmer lumens. And this one actually also has a green setting. And green is supposed to help for hunters because I guess the green on the spectrum isn't as bright for animals. So if you're kind of getting your way to your tree stand or your truck, or you're just trying to illuminate the trail a little bit, that green tinted light is not going to be receptive in animals' eyes as much as bright white would. So it's got this selector. Starting from the left, it goes from a larger white square printed on it, then a smaller square in white, and then a smaller green square. So that pretty much tells you which lumens you're going to be flipping to when you have that selector activated. So the MSRP of this flashlight, we'll start with that, is $109. The bulb type is LED, so it's got that high-low levels in there. And let's see, where did I have those lumens written down somewhere? The effective distance of the bright light is 250 yards. It uses 2 batteries. It's got 4 bulbs in it. The body's made out of aluminum. It's water resistant, submersible up to 1 meter. The batteries are CR123A. The weight with the batteries is 6.4 ounces. The battery life on the lowest setting is 40 hours. And it looks like it's only available in black from what I can tell. I am disappointed that I cannot find the lumens on their homepage. And I didn't think to try and find it for the show. So did you want to talk about the flashlight while I do a little research here, Tony?
Yeah, I think I did. I thought I found it. I thought it was 850 lumens or something like that. Oh, I'm sorry, 610 lumens. That was it, maxed out at. I was checking it out because one of the things I don't like about the new flashlights that everyone seems to have is this thing that toggles through all of these lumen settings. I want to know what it is every time I use it. I want it to remain the same exact thing. And that's it. I don't understand these lower and lower settings if you have a tactical flashlight. If you have a flashlight set up for searching for things or a multi-use flashlight, I understand. If you're looking for your lost dog or you're looking for something in the front yard, you don't need over 600 lumens for it. But if I want to light someone up in the house and clear a room, or at least light a room up, I'd rather just have it at one setting. And this allows you to at least put it on one setting and keep it on one setting, and you don't have to toggle through anything. I kind of like that about this light. Also, it has the different things because I was talking to my mom, and she goes out walking at night, and she said she wants a more powerful flashlight just to see further, because of course when you're walking out in the country in the woods, you actually want to shine the light into the woods, and a powerful light like this would do it. Or if you're walking and someone's driving down the road, you want to switch it to a lower lumen setting so you're not blinding a car driving down the road or freaking someone out if you accidentally do flash them as they're coming by, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me.
So it looks like those different lumens caps are really with what batteries you use. So if you use 2 CR123A batteries, which are included with the flashlight, it's 610 lumens with a 250 yard distance. But if you use a 18650 lithium ion rechargeable battery, and those are like the longer, skinnier ones, that'll give you 825 lumens with 285 yards of distance. And those batteries are obviously not included. That'd be something aftermarket for you to get. So yeah, with the low runtime, if you're using CR123A batteries, it's 40 hours, but it bumps up to 60 hours if you are using that lithium ion rechargeable battery.
I was actually looking to see if this had a place to loop or lanyard, and it doesn't. I was surprised for something to use. I mean, it's marketed towards hunting I mean, it's actually a hunting flashlight, that it wouldn't have a way to lanyard this or hook this to your wrist or even to your equipment. You know what I mean? It looks like it's going to have to be in a pouch or a pocket.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, Browning's got a lot of flashlights with pocket clips and lanyards, and this one has neither, apparently. And I'm not sure if you could. I think you might be able to put a pocket clip on it at least. The ones that kind of have a ring where you loosen the battery compartment and then you put the ring over it and then you tighten it down to the threads. You might be able to do that, or at least loop something around it, but that is unfortunate. I just thought it was cool because it looked like a firearm selector switch on there, and the fact that you don't have to cycle through like my Surefires that I did a review on about a month ago. It always is the low setting until you double click fast enough, and then it gives you the higher setting. It'd be nice, and, especially with it having the green setting, you obviously wouldn't want to have to click, click, click. Okay, now I'm green. Now the deer can't see me, and then if you accidentally clicked it in your pocket and you came off that green setting, then you got to cycle through it again. So this way you can leave it on green and just use it like that the entire time.
Because I mean, I think we're both old enough to know the mag lights, when you had the different colored lenses that you can get, that you'd have to take the front lens cover off to put the new lens there.
Yeah.
While like holding all of them in your hand and trying to figure out which is which in twilight conditions. Yeah, okay. It's like, yeah, that's not going to work. But this seems to make a lot of sense. And if it works, it works.
Yep.
I just don't get the not having the ability to hook it to your equipment, to not drop it out of a tree stand. Or, I mean, again, I haven't hunted, but I've been in the woods enough doing different things. It will fall out of your pocket and you will not know this.
Yeah. It's like, I don't understand why people make flashlights and then dip them in camo film to make them camouflage. It's like, are you an idiot? You're going to lose your flashlight. That's like if you hunt, putting a camouflage phone cover on your $400 or $500 smartphone. If you drop your phone in the woods and it lands on the screen side down, how are you going to find it? That's why I had my bright orange for as long as I could until that didn't last any longer. So I imagine TJ would say that it's cool, but the only thing it's missing is the price point. Seems like it's a little high for what it is. It's not like over $100 flashlight. I see this as being something closer to the $50 range. Having not seen it in person, who knows?
Yeah, you think it's even better built than it looks? Because I'm again thinking it's in the $50 to $49, $59 range.
Yeah, and that might just be MSRP. Maybe at street price it does come down a little bit more. Actually, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the page where it says additional product information, and it's got kind of a banner image with that flashlight. Mm-hmm. It's rotated to where you can see on the tail cap there is a lanyard slot.
I was wondering, was this the same flashlight? Okay, cool.
It looks like the same. It's got the same the same text printed on it, the 610L. So it does have a lanyard loop. It's kind of built into one of the ears of that back piece. And TJ obviously would know the proper analytical titles for the anatomy of a flashlight, but I don't. The back piece. There you go. So I got the link in the show notes for that. Brian
the non-flashlighty end.
Yeah, the non-bright end, the dim end. So there's no listener feedback for this week. As always, we always want to leave a little spot for Tony to plug what he's doing for the Second Is for Everyone. So you got the floor, man.
All right, thanks. Second Is for Everyone gets kicked off on April 7th this year. Next month. We're going to have a silent auction for a Battle Horse Comanche knife. We're going to have a lot of gifts. We're going to have swag. It's going to be fun. I'm going to try to host more of these things and get around and actually do more social things with it. Also, really cool Patriot. Wow, I have Jake disease. Patriot Patch Company has donated some patches, and those will be some will be raffled off, some will be in some of the bags. So the first 20 people may get a really cool patch. Trying to get people in at 6 o'clock so we don't start late. So you want to check it out, go to The Second is for Everyone on Facebook, or check out Simon Says Train on Facebook and Simon Says Train on Instagram. And you can see the pictures from the last shoots, pictures of some of the guns that will be at the shoots, or pictures of some of the cool patches we're going to have available. Thanks a lot, as always, for allowing me to spout about the Second Amendment and the thing I'm running. If you haven't gotten out and vote, if they have a primary near you, get out and vote, because now is when you make a difference. That's my whole 2A political rant for this evening.
Cool. Yep, as always, our pleasure. So remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. Send questions or comments to our new email, gungearreview@gmail.com. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes, and be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. And also check out our Instagram too, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you could follow like my Instagram, because I take a lot of pictures of stuff like not at the range. Because when I'm at the range, the last thing I do is have my camera in my hand or my phone in my hand. But yeah, Hunter of Design is my Instagram if you guys want to follow that. Cool. Well, everyone shoot safe. Have a great weekend. Great rest of your week, and I'll catch you on next week's episode.
Yeah, have a great St. Patrick's Day, guys.
Yep.